Ja to ne mogu tako lijepo iz glave kao što može Ivana.
I have to read this out. I have to now announce Ms. Marica Mirić, who is our dear associate, who actually cooperated with us when we were organizing a roundtable in the Parliament on the topic of violence in birth. And she was sharing with us then experiences of women with disabilities. Since then, we have continuously cooperated with Marica Mirić. She is also representative of the Union of Persons with Disabilities. She's the president of the Association of People with Dystrophy and also member of European Disability Forum. This is an organization that for many years has promoted inclusion and rights, including reproductive rights of women with disabilities in Europe. And Ms. Mirić is also part of the newly established Committee for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Thank you very much. I would like to greet all the participants. But I also want to tell you, we here have 2 male participants. So thank the 2 men for your support. And another thing, today we are talking about reproductive health of women with disabilities, but we should never forget to talk about parenting of fathers with disabilities and the difficulties that they encounter. What I'm particularly happy about is that we, as the Union of Persons with Disabilities, managed to Sorry, just a few technical problems. I just want to tell you that SOIH implemented a research study in 2009. And in this research study, we included 585 women from entire Croatia. And it was a representative sample because we hired the professionals to actually have equal representation of all the regions of Croatia and all women with disabilities. Although I have to tell you that in accordance with the UN Convention, it did not include women with mental disabilities, and I think this was a mistake. And what is really important is that this year we are preparing ourselves and we are preparing a survey for new research in which we will include all the women with disabilities and all the groups of women with disabilities. What this research has showed is that here you can see on this graph characteristics of respondents. There were 54% of women with physical disabilities, 31% with sensory disabilities, almost 10% with intellectual disabilities. According to age groups, you can see that majority of respondents were in their reproductive age, 32%, and younger than that, meaning under 18 to 25, were almost 20%. What is indicative here is the marital status. Not married and not in a relationship, 35.6% of women. And when you look at the way of life or who they live with, 14% live alone, while 70% with families. And this confirms what Branka showed you before, and that is that these women do not decide to become mothers or are not supported to become mothers. It is important to say that we are talking about over 200,000 of women with disabilities in Croatia. That is actually 40% of the total population of persons with disabilities, meaning that 60% of persons with disabilities are men. This year, I have to tell you, I'm a coordinator, not a president of this network. President is Gordana Jurčević, a person with disability, but we organized the second conference of women with disabilities, and it was entitled Inclusive Women's Networks for the Future. I want to thank Roda also on this occasion for showing its inclusiveness. And what do we actually want with this? We want to cooperate with women's networks, but not in a way that we just keep inviting each other to conferences and then, of course, our usual daily work takes us away. But no, that really women with disabilities are part of managerial bodies of other women's networks, that women with disabilities attend conferences organized by other organizations in accessible premises like this one, and that they are really involved in all decision-making processes. This is inclusiveness that we want. The basic document that we are promoting today and that we are monitoring today, and we want to see its full implementation, is of course the Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. For the very first time in the world, of people with disabilities participated in the drafting of the convention, but the women with disabilities actually, they started a very serious journey, and they managed to put in the Article 6. And the title of the article is Women with Disabilities, and this Article 6 prescribes the obligations of the state not to discriminate against women with disabilities, to respect their human rights. And it clearly states that women with disabilities have the right to respect of their fundamental human rights as all other people, and that they are to be included in the societies. In Article 23, we talk about respect of home and family, and it talks about reproductive health, including reproductive health of women with disabilities. What we are very proud of is that the Constitution of the Republic of Croatia, in its Article 3, guarantees equality of genders as the highest value of Republic of Croatia. So this is something that we did not have to fight for. This was given to us. And another thing that I would like to present to you, European Forum of Persons with Disabilities that was mentioned before, which in its policies for equal rights of women with disabilities adopted a second manifest. The first one was amended for the reason it was adopted in 1998, and many changes have happened since then. But in the second manifest, I would like to emphasize that it is requested that women with disabilities can decide about the number of children that they want to have. They have to have access to information when planning their reproductive life. They have the right to preserving their fertility, the right to family. They need to be given funds and support in order to allow them to enjoy all the above-mentioned rights. But what is important here is that you see that today we are struggling, and the Republic of Croatia, through the recommendations of the UN Committee, was instructed to urgently approach forced sterilization. Maybe not everyone understands that women with intellectual disabilities are forcefully sterilized. Their rights to motherhood are still not respected, even in Croatian society. Another thing, it is requested from the society as a whole, and family in particular, that they look at women with disabilities as asexual and incapable of having a life with a partner and incapable of motherhood, and they are undergoing strict and repressive control of sexual needs. I will give you an example of our young girl with cerebral palsy, a beautiful girl. When we asked her, Monica, why don't you go out and date? She told me, my mother does not allow me. She was 24 years at the time, because I will fall in love. And then when I fall in love, I will be disappointed. Like, it's not imminent for all other men and women to fall in love and to get disappointed and do that many times in our lives. Under 8.5, it's stated that we should guarantee the right to family, relationships, sexual contacts, motherhood for lesbian, bisexual, and transsexual women with disabilities. We forget that women with disabilities are characterized by all the things that the general population is characterized by, meaning that our women also are part of the even minor minority groups whose rights are not respected, like lesbians, bisexual, and transsexual women. So when we talk about reproductive rights of the freedom and independence of all people to freely and responsibly decide on starting a family, how many children they will have, when, and with whom, that it also includes the right to information, education, and implementation of rights in order to be able to make decisions on reproductive rights without discriminations or force or violence. We try to introduce accessible gynecologist table in many gynecologist offices. So we are talking about accessible gynecologist tables for women with disabilities. This is a topic. So regardless of the fact that I never tried it, but I had the honor to have my personal checkup on this kind of table. And I want to tell you all to support us, that you ask these kinds of tables in all clinics. These are not accessible for women with disabilities, but more dignified tables for all us women, so that our legs are not up in the air, that we have to look at the ceiling and we have no idea what's happening, but that we are sitting in a semi-inclined position, that we have communication, visual communication, and that we see actually what the doctor is doing. So what I'm trying to say here is what is accessible for women with disabilities in terms of premises and tools is also a very good thing for all other women, and in some cases for men as well. Then another thing, 8.7, fear from pregnancy and its consequences, or fears that they don't have the capacity to take care of the child, physical consequences for the mother, and fear that the child could inherit disability. These are the main concerns of women with disabilities. We require to have the informed consent by women with disabilities, but not the usual medical one. You heard before how much women rely on their friends. So this peer counseling is very, very important to get information from other women with disabilities with same diagnosis, to talk with these women so that they can make a conscious, fully aware decision whether they want to have children with disabilities. In my organization, we have a mother who knew that she was going to have a child with disabilities, and she knew this would be a child with disability, and we are all so proud of this child. Today, she's going to the first year of university. Many years are deprived of their reproductive rights under the excuse that it's all for their benefits. This research study has shown that women did not say that doctors are not empathic during childbirth, but no, they experience this fear. Doctors experience this fear. We have to have legal measures of protection for those women who are capable of giving their consent on the issues related to reproduction. Today, we talk about abortion, but we have very nice medical research studies that say, if I have a Down syndrome baby, I can do the abortion. How do I get that right? My child with Down syndrome is equal to all the other children. And Chapter 8 is about motherhood, that we need to develop appropriate systems for pregnant women and girls with disabilities in order to support them when preparing for motherhood, and that mothers with disabilities are supported to take care for their children. And what is necessary to change discriminating attitudes because of the additional challenges that women with disabilities encounter in the society. That's why mothers with disabilities need to have the right to an extended maternity leave so that they can adapt to the new situation, and they have the right to special social services during that maternity leave. Very often we hear that women with disabilities are first of all identified as a person with disability and not as a woman and not as a mother. And this is at the very essence of unequal position of women. And that's why we ask for women with disabilities to have the right to sexual health, reproductive health, right to equality and non-discrimination, right to plan the family, right to get the information about motherhood, training and services that they need. So we are asking equal reproductive rights for all, reproductive autonomy and freedom, freedom from violence, exploitation and abuse. We want women to have support in terms of risky pregnancies, to be treated equally as everyone else, to believe in the possibility to be a parent and to be supported. And for this, they need certain approaches. One pertains to the barriers, communication barriers, orientation, physical barriers. For blind people, they need orientational accessibility. For this, we have to have financial accessibility and information accessibility. The measures that we need to undertake are taking down the stereotypes, taking down the prejudices, creating equal opportunities, and supporting women to avoid violence and forced sterilization when speaking about women with intellectual disabilities. In our country, we need to regulate the norms. We need to know what are the obligations of the state for supporting women with disabilities, and we need to regulate this at the intersectoral level. That's why I'm so pleased that we have here these two-line ministries, although it should be covered by a greater number of ministries, I guess. And to conclude, we cannot compromise on the sexual and reproductive health of women and girls with disabilities. Thank you very much for your attention.